We have to prepare for that ultimate, inevitable conflict between them. It's a kind of a description of a third world war, a potential future third world war, and after it, the end of history will come. So my as a Hungarian realist, my concern is that I don't want to describe the world like this. Because if we start describing the world like this, then it's extremely dangerous, because it, not just ideologically, but from a thinking method point of view, it leads us into direct confrontation and the bloc formation logic, which is against the interest of, I think, my country, Hungary, and I think it's against the interest of at least 180 other countries on earth.
Just very quickly, just to pick up on what you said, I think one of the distinguishing characteristics of liberalism when it's applied to foreign policy is, as you say, to describe the world in terms of good guys and bad guys. And when the United States goes to war, the other side is always the Third Reich, the leader is always Adolf Hitler, and so forth and so on. And when you think in those terms, it's very difficult to reach an accommodation with the other side. Because how can you negotiate with Adolf Hitler, right? You're dealing with the font of all evil. And this is one of the problems that we face today. How can you negotiate with Vladimir Putin, right? It's just impossible. It's like asking us again to negotiate a deal with Hitler. And just to go to realism for 1 second, it's very important to understand that realism treats states as black boxes. It treats all states as principally the same in terms of whether or not they're good guys or bad guys. There are no good guys or bad guys in the realist story. States are just black boxes. And this is one of the principal reasons that realism is deeply hated in the liberal West. You all understand that the United States is a thoroughly liberal country, right? And the West has become thoroughly liberal in its outlook. So when you have a view of foreign policy like realism that doesn't divide the world up into good guys and bad guys, people in the West are not going to like that. And they're going to think that somebody like me, who is a hardcore realist, is a deeply immoral person because I don't recognize good and evil.
What we say here in Hungary, at least as a counter-argumentation, is that we also moral persons, but our morality is different, because we think that our first and foremost loyalty goes to our community and our nation. And our job is to protect and save and bring a prosperous future for our country. And through this lens, we see the world. And we don't want, so in a very political term, I don't want to save the world, I want to save Hungary. And I think it's a moral position as well, different than the liberal one, but it's also a moral position. So I think all realists should not accept the argumentation of the liberals that they are the moral ones and the realists are the non-moral people, because that's not true. That's a different type of morality, which is based on, as a footnote, I would say, based on the Bible as well. So it has a religious basis as well.
Okay. Anything to add? No. Okay.
Yeah, I just say this is going to be very quick. If you think about a word that the liberals use all the time, it's international community. They talk about the international community. And just think about that first word, international, international. It's fundamentally at odds with the notion that you have a nation state, a national community, that you should privilege over the international community. You see very clearly in the use of those two words, international and national, the difference between a liberal perspective and a realist perspective. Sorry.
No. So can I translate? So the reason why Europe is doing this policy is because they are locked in the liberal thinking. And so for me, it's always hard as an analyst, it's hard to bring home the fact that people just think in a bad way about their interests. So But again, it sounds very plausible. But we are short on time, and I think we should jump. We have like 10 minutes left. One of my concerns about realism and what's happening in the world, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Hungary, is how can one pursue a realist foreign policy? Is realism something that you actually pursue, or realism